Good to see you all. It was a good day in the House, and I told you not to doubt us. The media always does, the Democrats always do, but we get the job done, and we're really grateful to have had the big victory on the floor just now. It was a big one, a very important one. Quick recap, just on a busy week in Washington, we got a lot of important things done for the American people this week. We passed the SAVE Act today, as you know, and that ensures that you got to have identification. You have to prove your identity because only U.S. citizens should vote and decide U.S. elections. It's already in federal law, but there's no mechanism currently to ensure that that law is always followed, and this measure, the SAVE Act, will help make sure that is true. We passed the No Rogue Rulings Act, which, as you know, will limit the ability of activist, liberal, in this case federal judges, to issue injunctions that will stop a president's policies nationwide. That has been wildly abused against President Trump, and the Congress had an obligation and responsibility, I think, to step in and make sure that we bring that under control. We also repealed some very damaging Biden-era regulations again this week, and we'll continue that work. But the big news today, of course, is that we passed the budget resolution. We adopted the Senate's amendments to the resolution, holding in place all of the commitments and the instructions, the guidelines that the House originally enacted. And that was a big step because that will allow us now to move forward to have our committees actually drafting the one big beautiful bill. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and we're really excited about that. In November, the American people delivered unified government to the Republican Party. They returned President Donald J. Trump to the White House. They gave us control of the House and the Senate, and we are going to make good by that. We have a big responsibility. In the budget reconciliation bill, the reason we call it the one big beautiful bill, everybody in this crowd of journalists knows that all the components that will be in that. We're talking about ensuring that the border is secure, having the resources that are necessary to do that. We're talking about getting the American economy going again by reducing regulations. We're talking about restoring peace through strength and making sure we have the measures in place to properly fund those priorities. We have a lot of things, American energy dominance, all the components that will make things better for Americans, drive down the cost of living, and get our economy really going again. And of course, not the least of which, the big components of the one big beautiful bill is to ensure that we don't have the largest tax increase in U.S. history all at once, which is what would happen at the end of this year if we didn't accomplish this mission, because the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the tax cuts from the first Trump administration, as we know, would expire. So a big day for us. We will now get the committees operating on all cylinders. They'll be working over the 2-week district work period that encompasses Passover and Easter. They'll take a couple of days off for those holy celebrations and then keep their sleeves rolled up and get right back to work. The committees in the Senate and the House will be working in a collaborative fashion. We've explained this, that this really is a one-team approach by Republicans in both chambers. I'm so grateful to Leader Thune and his steady hand of leadership. We had a joint press conference this morning making our commitments known of what we're going to try to do. And that is ensure real savings for the American people, because we have to do that. We have a responsibility to get our country back on a sound fiscal trajectory, and also make sure that we ensure and protect those essential programs. The Democrats, as I noted this morning, have said that we're going to gut Medicaid. It is not true. We're going to protect the benefits that everyone is legally entitled to. The beneficiaries who have a legal right to that, it will be preserved. Those are essential safety net programs that Republicans support. The President has made clear Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid will not take a hit. So you can count on that, and you can watch it develop as we go. Our other priorities as well. I just want to tell you what will happen when we return after the 2-week district work period. Our committees will begin the markup process. We have our 11 committees that will get instructions for reconciliation in the House. They are ready to go. We've been working on this for many months, almost a year now, really, when we first started the effort. And so we have the work product already prepared. We have bills drafted. Most of them have been scored already. And now we go through the process of marking it up and finding the equilibrium points with everybody so that all those interests are met. We're looking forward to that happening. And I just want to say this. The American people are counting on us. Time is of the essence. We know what's going on around the world. We know that the debt limit cliff is approaching us pretty quickly here. We know that markets have been a little unstable. They want to know that Congress is on the job, and I'm here to tell you that we are. The Article I branch of this government, the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate are going to do our job, and we are going to provide stability, and we are going to send this message to all of our allies and friends around the world, and to our adversaries as well, that America is back, and the America First agenda will be enacted. President Trump's promises will be fulfilled, and we're really excited that today we took a big step in getting that done. We'll continue to work together. Yeah.
What changed between last night and this morning? What closed the deal?
Look, we're in a deliberative body, and we did a lot of work leading up to this moment, of course, for many months. But sometimes there are pressure release valves you have to allow people to do. You know, everybody's human around here. There's lots of different interests. We have 220 people in the Republican conference, and they have a lot of different ideas. They represent a lot of different districts, and sometimes when the pressure gets turned up, people need to release that. So that's what I do. I allow them to do that. We take thoughtful discussion and deliberation. Sometimes we do it out in open. Sometimes we do it in closed meetings. But we had that until late last night. I did more of it this morning. I want to compliment our president, President Trump, who is always engaged with us and available and accessible. He didn't have to call a single member to wrangle anybody on this thing. He allowed me the space to do what I need to do, and we got the votes together, and we reaffirmed our commitments. It's real. We want to find real savings. We have an obligation to do that, but we also have to protect these essential programs. We can and will do both, and you're going to see that in the next few weeks.
How do you ensure that this tug of war with hardliners doesn't derail the process in the next coming months?
Look, everyone that you would describe as a hardliner, I mean, people who were in the room last night, are there in good faith. I mean, these are my closest friends, colleagues. I mean, all of us. We're one big team, and their intention is good. They're in good faith. They want to make sure, because they believe we have a responsibility, as I do, to make sure that the national debt and our deficits that we've been running around here for too long are turned back on a different trajectory. And I use the analogy all the time. We have it's effectively like a giant aircraft carrier, and you don't turn an aircraft carrier on a dime. It takes miles of open ocean. But we have a responsibility, and we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with this reconciliation measure before us to make a real turn in that aircraft carrier. And we're very serious about it. And so the colleagues that were in the conversations up to past midnight last night just wanted assurances that we're really, really going to do that, and we are, but we're going to do it in a way that doesn't unduly affect or harm any beneficiary of a public program that's available to them. So you'll see how that works out.
Can you give some areas of spending cuts you're looking at? Because you said you've been working on this for a while, so you must know where you're going to cut.
Yeah, we have big menus of options and items in 11 different committees of jurisdiction, and one of the big ones is energy and commerce, because they have such a broad jurisdiction, and that's where you'll be looking at, you know, Medicaid, for example, which is the thing that the Democrats are trying to frankly lie to the American people about. No one has talked about cutting one benefit in Medicaid to anyone who's duly owed. What we've talked about is returning work requirements. So, for example, you don't have able-bodied young men on a program that's designed for single mothers and the elderly and disabled. They're draining resources from people who are actually do that. So if you clean that up and shore it up, you save a lot of money, and you return the dignity of work to young men who need to be out working instead of playing video games all day. We have a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid. Just one tiny example. The estimate is $51 billion a year in Medicaid is lost to fraud. That's unconscionable. We now have, with the DOGE efforts and with new algorithms and with new oversight responsibilities and opportunities, we have ability to carve that out. We have a responsibility to do it. That estimate by some people, some estimates say that is very low. It's actually much higher than that. So we're going to go through, carve out, find these savings, low-hanging fruit, and examples like that. There's a lot of it in the federal government. I mean, look, we have a $36 trillion federal debt right now. We're running deficits every year. It's not the way to run our country. We need to return to fiscal sanity, and that's what the Republican Party represents. And you know what? That's good for every American.
But sir, the instructions are $800 billion for these committees.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying there is $800 billion in fraud, waste, and abuse?
I'm saying that the categories of fraud, waste, and abuse, in addition to the other areas that we've been looking at for almost a year now, that we can find well more than $800 billion in savings, and we will. And that's what we committed to. That's what.
Because the markets are down 1,300 points, and you talked about sending them a strong signal that Congress is doing its work. I mean, obviously, we saw the president put the pause on his shares. Does he need to just end them, scrap them at this point?
No, I'm going to let
give the markets more certainty.
I'm delighted to let the president make the decisions on that. I mean, he and I spoke yesterday about the spike in the stock market after the pause, and I think he recognized the moment was right to do it, and that seems to be a great decision. So we're going to let him do that. I'm going to do my job over here, but I do hope and believe that the vote today is a very strong signal to the markets, to investors, job creators, entrepreneurs, the people that make the economy run, that the Congress is going to get us on sound footing. And you can count on that, and you can bet on it, and you ought to, I think today would be a great day to buy stocks.
Thank you.
Medicaid fraud, sir.